Caroline. Right then, guys. So then, welcome. That's the to the Tableau user group February. That's me. Pretty a bad haircut, but hey ho. At least I've got hair. I'm 46, which is good. Today we've got Grant Quick from Tableau talking to us about understanding the magic behind the Tableau Genie. Following Grant will be Mark Wickett from TikTok, who will be talking to us about their insights journey using Tableau in TikTok, which is always a great thing to go with. So any questions you've got, please don't be afraid to put your hand up or put in the chat. If you'd like to put in the chat, let us know. We'll go through the presentation with our two guys here. After that, we'll do a bit of a merch giveaway. And there's a few just call outs towards the end of upcoming events around Adelaide and around Australia. But yeah, look, if it's okay with everyone and everyone's happy, any questions, please go ahead. Grant, I'll hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. Let me share my screen and we'll get things underway. Alrighty, so my name's Grant Quick. For those of you who haven't met me, I am a lead solution engineer with Tableau. I'm actually based in Sydney, and unfortunately I'm in rainy Sydney today and not Adelaide. And I talked to Rob about what sessions potentially people would like to hear about, and got a lot of feedback that people were interested in Genie. So I thought it was time to let it out of the bottle, because what we once called Genie is now called Data Cloud, and it was actually released in general release mode last week. So really exciting to have this new feature out. It is something that has been talked up a lot since our Dreamforce conference last year. It's been talked about at pretty much every conference and every opportunity since then. So it's great to now be able to show you guys what it is and where it fits in with Tableau. So without any further ado, let's get stuck in. So just to give you some background about why we developed a new product, what we saw is that there's been a huge explosion of data. And I don't think that's a surprise to anyone here. We've seen data increasing in volume and complexity for a very long time. But it really is getting to a huge level where platforms that traditionally have worked with data are really struggling under the load. And if we have a look at most companies at the enterprise level now, what we find is that there's about 1,000 applications that they have across their companies. And about a third of those applications aren't even integrated with other apps. So what this has led to is a lot of silos. In fact, we've found that 89% of technology leaders struggle with silos today. Now, it's not just about the issues that they have with internal processes and inefficiencies, it's also the customer experience. So the average customer, when they interact with companies, actually interact with about 35 different systems. And sometimes those systems might call them Tom, sometimes they might call them Thomas, sometimes they might have an old phone number or old details that are completely irrelevant. So trying to get a handle on all of that is increasingly challenging. Most leaders understand the need to be data-driven. And obviously you're all on this journey using Tableau now, but some people are still struggling there. In fact, a lot are. We've found that 83% of CEOs want their organization to be more data-driven, but only 30% of people working at those companies believe that they truly are. And to bridge that gap, we really need to address data culture, data tools, data skills, and data trust. And to do all of this, we realized that there needed to be a new platform for data. And so that was where the idea of Genie and Data Cloud came from. So we've talked a little bit about what is happening with data and why that's important. Next, I'm going to talk about what Data Cloud is, and then we'll jump into a demonstration so you can actually see firsthand how you can interact with it and what it will do for you. I'll finish off with a very quick case study on Kia Connect and the work that they're doing in Europe, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions, just pop them into the chat window as we go through before you forget them. We'll be moving pretty fast and covering a lot of ground. Because Salesforce is a publicly traded company, I just have to remind everyone that any decisions made around purchasing should be based on products that are commercially available today, of which Data Cloud is one. As I mentioned, as of last week, it is now generally available. We've had a few customers that have been using it in preview mode, but now anyone can start using Data Cloud. It is intended for larger companies, enterprise level. It is basically a data lakehouse, which pulls in a lot of disparate data into one place and gives you a cohesive model of that data from which you can then analyze and start to make better informed decisions. So it allows you to natively connect to a lot of different data sources. We're focused a lot on our Salesforce ecosystem and the applications that we have there, but you can also attach to third-party cloud providers and other third-party applications as well. You can then, with the power of Tableau, start analyzing any of that data at the click of a button, and I'll show you how easy that is today. We're also working to incorporate AI into the platform so that while you're not working, the Data Cloud can be working for you and driving insights that you might not consider otherwise. Another thing worth calling out is that a lot of companies have already built their own data lakes using products like Snowflake. And so you don't need to throw those away if you go with the Data Cloud. In fact, we have zero copy integration with Snowflake. So what you can do is have queries that get executed through Data Cloud, and they might pass on parts of their queries to Snowflake to get the data that's in Snowflake. So you can federate it together and just interact through the Genie or a Data Cloud platform. So it means you don't have to copy data across. And when you're talking about millions and billions of rows of data, obviously that can save a lot of time and cost. So how does Data Cloud work at a very high level? Well, firstly, you need to stream your data into the platform. So I mentioned some of the systems that we work with, a lot of Salesforce systems, things like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, but we also work with third-party providers. So you can bring data in from AWS S3 buckets, for example, or you can connect to Google Cloud. And then if you have other applications, we offer open APIs and SDKs that help you to bring that data across. Now, if you want to work with more pre-built and low-code kinds of integrations, MuleSoft can actually connect to thousands of applications and bring them very seamlessly into the Data Cloud. It has a integration natively with Data Cloud now, so that's a really good option for bringing in lots of other data. Once the data comes in, it all gets brought in together and it gets harmonized into a single data model. So it has rules that allow you to decide, well, which fields in which systems should take priority. And so you can basically have it applying those rules so that you have the model working the way that you would like it to. Once you have that, you have a single source of truth, a graph that you can explore from using Tableau, and from there you can start to understand your data. Now, it's more than just seeing and understanding data, it's also about taking action. So you might have seen in recent releases, we built in some integrations with Salesforce where you can actually trigger flows from within Tableau. So we now allow you to take action directly in Tableau without having to go to other systems. And it's a really powerful concept because traditionally people have had to context switch. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, and it's very easy to forget things. So having it all in the one platform makes it a much more seamless user experience. The other exciting thing about Data Cloud is that it is open and extensible. I've already talked a little bit about the Snowflake integration that we have. We're also working with a lot of first-party advertising companies to stream in marketing data. So if you think about Google ads or Facebook ads, these are the kinds of things that we'll be bringing in. And also we're working with AWS so that you'll be able to build machine learning models using SageMaker directly on our Data Cloud data without having to copy it to AWS. So a lot of really powerful things coming through. We also have a lot of App Exchange partners who have experience working with us in Salesforce and in Tableau, and a lot of them are already on this journey with us using the Data Cloud. In terms of the kinds of outputs that you can get from Data Cloud, we're really focused initially, at least, on customer data. You can actually put any kind of data you like into our data cloud. It is just a data lakehouse, but a lot of the mappings and templates that we have that will provide a lot of efficiencies are focused on customer data. So some of the things you might look at is if you're sales oriented, you might be looking at how you can reduce the time to close for different opportunities that you have. If you're in the service world, you might be looking at how you can increase customer satisfaction. On the marketing side, you might be looking at your campaigns and how you can increase the engagement in your campaigns. Or if you're looking at running a commerce site, maybe it's just revenue that you're trying to increase. And you can really get down to the level of providing customers with save opportunities and things like this to get them to complete their transactions, because it is such a fast real-time platform that we have. You can do your analysis and automate what's going to happen as a result of that very, very quickly. So you've probably had enough of hearing me talk about it. Let's jump in and see what it's all about. All right, so this is the data cloud. And what we're seeing here is we've got 131 different data streams that are bringing data in. You can see all the different records that are coming in from these places. So there's about 40 million different records that are coming in here. And as I've said, a lot of this data gets streamed in real time. So you're getting up to billions of rows per second that are coming across. Now, once those rows come across, we need to figure out how we map it into our data model so that we have a cohesive, singular source of truth. So we can come over here to our data sources, our data streams, I should say, and we can see all of those individual streams. And we can see where they're coming from. They're coming from some of our systems like our Salesforce CRM or Marketing Cloud. We're also seeing we've got some S3 buckets there, Google Cloud Storage, and so forth. So there's a lot there, and any time that I want to add in more data streams, I simply click on New over here, and that's going to allow me to select a new data stream. Now I can select from the systems that we have, such as Marketing Cloud or our B2C commerce platform. Or if you're using something that's third party, maybe you'll use the ingestion API, or maybe you'll work with MuleSoft because MuleSoft has all of those connections already built in for it. Or of course, as I mentioned, you can look at Google Cloud or Amazon S3. Now I might want to use Salesforce data. So if I have Sales Cloud, for example, I could select that. Some organizations have multiple Salesforce orgs if they're very large and complicated. And if that's the case, they can select any of those Salesforce orgs so they can bring all of the data from those orgs together. I've just got the one org here. There's some standard data bundles. So these are based on some of the SKUs that we have. So they're pre-configured, easy to go. But as you may know, Salesforce is completely configurable. So you can actually come in, you can create your custom objects, your custom fields, and you can decide exactly what of that needs to come in to the data cloud. Now, I might have a look at some of this data here. So I might have a look at something marketing related. If we have a look in web engagement, we can see what this is bringing in. So there's 24 fields that are available through this data source. And 19 of these 24 fields are mapped into our data model. So we're capturing those in our unified place. If I review this data mapping, I can see how these fields are mapped. So it's very intuitive to be able to see where's the data coming from and where's it going in our model. So you can see on the left-hand side, the source of the data, and on the right are our data model entities. And if I wanted to add in more connections, so I don't have this party identification ID mapped in, say that I did, I could find from any of my entities what I might want that to map to. I'll just select something at random, and that creates the mapping. So like that, we're able to just say these are the fields from these systems and how they map. So we can have lots of different kinds of systems with different data structures, and they can all be unified together. Now, if I want to go and understand what that data model looks like, I'll just come across to data model. So you can see here, these are all the objects that we've captured. Now, this is just our standard model, but you can customize this as much as you like. So you can add extra objects in, you can add extra fields to those objects, but you'll see usual suspects like individuals, those are the people. You might look at sales orders if you're focused on sales use cases. If you're looking at building commerce websites, you might have website engagement and things like that. So you can see all these areas and how they're related together. Now, if I go over to my list view of these objects, I can find all of those here, and I can actually start exploring any of those with Tableau. So what we're going to have soon is an extra button up the top. You'll basically just select the object that you're looking for. You can select up here, and it will actually take you straight into Tableau Cloud or your Tableau server instance, so you can explore that in web edit mode. So we don't have that yet, but what we do have is the equivalent with desktop. So I can find any of my data and then download a TDS file, which is your Tableau data source. Now, the TDS doesn't contain data, it just contains information about how to connect. So what you can do is download that file, and it will then create a live connection to your data cloud so that you can start working from that in real time. Now, I might do that with some of my sales information. So I've got a sales order object here. I just select that, and then I click on download my TDS file. That usually takes a few seconds. That'll come through, and then I can open it with Tableau. Now, the first time I open it, I do need to authenticate and make sure that I give Tableau permission to do that. Rather than walk you through that, I'll just go to one that was opened earlier. And this is what we see. So even though I only selected one object, it actually shows you all of the objects that are connected up to 5 levels of depth. So this way, I can start to query all these other relationships without having to understand that structure myself in Tableau. If I wanted to build this out myself, this would take me probably the best part of a day, possibly even more, but it's actually all out of the box and ready to go. In this case, I probably will just stay with this main table. So if I go and start exploring by creating a new sheet, I can then look at my main table here, my sales order, and I can start dragging and dropping pills in like I normally would with Tableau to explore this data. So I might be interested in the number of sales orders that we've had. So I'm just going to double click that. And that's going to drag that onto the canvas. And as you can see, there's actually 2.5 or 2.6 million records that have been brought in here. So this is live data and it is lightning fast. And I might want to break that down in different ways. So if we have a look, I might break it down by channel. And so there you go. We can see that quite a lot, the majority even of our orders come through our website, but we still do a lot through our app and through our brick and mortar store. Now I might have another query. So maybe I'd like to know more about our total sales and what revenue we're doing. So I could bring in the total amount. As you can see, we've done about $1 billion over whatever period of time we have for this data. And then I could break this down as well. So maybe let's have a look at payment method. How are people paying for their goods? You would see credit card is pretty prominent here. And of course, just like anything else in Tableau, you can very easily just change the way that the data feels and looks. You can break it down in different ways and show it in different ways. So here I can really highlight just how dependent our customers are on credit cards. So while we still do a lot with other payment types, you can see we're not doing much in cash. So that's not really something we need to support, but we certainly do need to look at e-wallets and other things that might be important to our customer base. So like that, just in a few minutes, I'm able to see the way that my data is mapped. I'm able to then click once and explore that data in Tableau. So it's incredibly powerful and it really opens up the world of data for a lot of use cases that traditionally were very painful to try and address. If we jump back to the slides quickly, I just wanted to touch on a quick case study. So I'm sure you're all familiar with Kia, the car manufacturer. They have a division called Kia Connect, which is about how they have data connectivity to their vehicles. So part of it is around providing services to their customers, such as entertainment services in their cars. And they also collect a lot of data from the customers. So they can see how their customers are using the cars. They can see what their driving preferences are like and things of that nature. So they've actually been able to use Data Cloud to really bring those two things together. So now they're able to analyze what people are doing, what their preferences are, and they're able to customize what they offer them. So they're basically able to see, well, this person's might be a bit of a revhead. They're accelerating a lot. They're also using the car a lot. So this is someone that I might market some of these services to, as opposed to someone else who might be more sedate and looking for other kinds of products and services. As a result of this, they were able to move really fast. They actually implemented this in just 3 months. Of course, this is brand new, so they haven't had much more time than that. And as a result, they've been able to analyze billions of these events that they're getting from sensors across the cars and connect to vehicles all across Europe. So they're seeing a lot of success, and it's been a really exciting journey for us to be involved in that. So that's all I had time for today. I hope that gave you a good taster of what the Data Cloud's all about. You might be wondering too, there's the little bunny named Genie, still named Genie. He hasn't been renamed to Data Cloud, but the product is Data Cloud now. So you'll see that in our materials. We'll be talking about it a lot next week at World Tour in Sydney. So if you happen to come up here for that, be sure to check out the sessions there. And you might even see Genie the bunny walking around if you're lucky. So Rob, were there any questions that came in that I could answer? Oh, you're on mute, Rob, sorry.
There we go. Nothing on the chat, but if anyone's got a question for Grant about the Genie, please raise your hand. You know, we've got a couple of minutes if anyone's got anything for Grant. No. Grant, I think you covered everything. It was that good a presentation. You've covered everything. So look, again, guys, if there's anything you follow up or you think of anything later on, then chuck an email to myself and I can converse with Grant. So Grant, thank you so much for that. That was much appreciated. So if I now go to, if you, oh, hello, we've got a question. What's this is coming here? Oh no, Kira's just saying thank you. That's awesome. Okay, great. If you'd like to stop sharing your screen, Grant, perfect. Right then, I shall now hand you over to Mark Wickett, who is our guy from TikTok, who's going to do something on the Insights lead. Mark, if you'd like to share your screen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Rob, and thank you very much for having me this afternoon, and looking forward to sharing our journey with you. Just a bit about myself. I'm Mark Wickett, as Rob said. I work for a company called TikTok, and it's not the video company, it's different. We were here first. What we do is provide home loan solutions to customers and some tech to people who provide home loans. I look after the insights. I look after the provision of insights at TikTok, which can be anything from basic data extracts for an operational reason to full-scale operational dashboards and management dashboards for consumption by external customers. Just a little bit more about TikTok. We've been existing really since 2017, so we're just coming up to our 6th birthday this year. We started off just building tech for selling directly to the consumer. So we're offering home loans. Our objective really is to try and create time so that we're actually simplifying and speeding up the process that from a person deciding they want to get a home loan to actually getting that home loan. We're using technology to do that. We're trying to automate as much of the process as we possibly can. And then we've got excellent customer service, all based here in Adelaide, to help customers out when they don't quite fit the automated process, if there's any exceptions. We've been very successful at doing that, and we've been offering our technology and our customer service to partners and other lenders as well. If you've seen any adverts over the last couple of weeks, For the only home loan that comes with a holiday every year, then that's TikTok Tech, and it's our people behind that powering it. And when we started out, not that long ago, there was maybe about 6 people in the organization who wanted some numbers. We were largely driven by the systems we were using at the time, the reporting that was available through those, our finance systems, our operational systems. And yeah, the reporting was very discrete. It was answering specific questions required by that specific person. There was very little overlap. Excel was a very common data visualization tool back then. But before long, we're growing quite quickly. We got to 60 people, all hungry for information. And so it wasn't long before we realized that a lack of standardization for content, storage, security, data transformation, it's not going to work in the existing model. So we very quickly built an analytics stack, which consisted of a data warehouse at the top. We built some dimension and fact tables out of that, handful of materialized view, and we put in a Tableau server on premises to service the majority of our reporting and insights need. The dashboards are built largely bespoke, as and when they were needed. We used custom SQL to query across the different data tables and views. Some of our reporting wasn't encapsulated within Tableau. We had some daily emails which were driven directly from the data warehouse. We had notifications to Slack and other messaging services coming out of the data warehouse. So we had some problems there with inconsistencies in the numbers because they're coming from the same origin, but we had custom queries creating all those answers. So we had some inconsistencies. Even within Tableau, we had that because we were largely using custom SQL for each of the dashboards that we were generating. So this worked for a while. It served a purpose. We built on it quite a lot. We built on queries and dashboards on dashboards. Eventually getting to a point where it's dragging down performance. We had extracts failing because we were trying to run too many at the same time, querying the same data. And so we knew that this particular solution in our growing pain stage was not going to work indefinitely. And so when I joined the Insights team in TikTok last August, one of the first things I did was look at who was using our system. We've now got about 160 people who were in need of insights every day, and not even just every day, throughout the day as well. So we had a look. We conducted an audit of our reporting and insights environment. We looked at the usage of our dashboards, and I turned off more than half of them. They either weren't being used, or they were stuff that had been built maybe for ad hoc analysis. We'd used them once and then we'd never gone back to them again. Or some of them were customized versions of production dashboards that someone had built for a particular purpose and was still using it rather than the official dashboard. So we streamlined down our Tableau environment, made sure that the necessary information was there. We did a very good example of the screen test. We turned a whole lot of them off and see who complained, and we didn't actually get too many people. So there was a whole lot of information within that Tableau environment, a whole lot of extracts that were updating that no one was actually looking at. So really good to do that. And what we're trying to do then is also simplify the structure of our Tableau environment with our projects and our workbooks. We're reducing the number of user groups that we've got to make it easier to manage data security. But it is very much a work in progress. We're removing custom SQL from some of these dashboards, replacing them with proper extracts. We're using single extracts to drive more than one report rather than creating lots of nearly identical copies of everything. And we're migrating a lot of the old non-Tableau reports into Tableau. So reports that might have been emailed no longer go to your inbox. They just go to a place in Tableau where that user can log in and see the same information there. And that's really helpful for us because it keeps control of the data privacy and the data security within one place. And it makes it easier for the user because they've only got one place to go to get their information. We're realistic though. We know there's always going to be exceptions. So we know we have to have some reporting outside of Tableau, but we're doing our best outside of Tableau to make sure that the data we're using is consistent. We're aligned in the design and in the code we're using to extract that data. So we're getting consistent numbers. And the project that we're using, well, a project that I've set up really to drive this, we call it Project Playfair. It's an initiative to redefine how data is transformed into insights. We're creating a common set of resources so that our insights team can deliver efficiently. We can have our dashboards are repeatable, we're reusable, we're transparent in how we're getting the data in. And we're just really at the start of that project now in the last couple of months, just before Christmas, we really kicked it off. The project's named after William Playfair. I don't know if you know William Playfair. He's an 18th century Scotsman who invented many of our graphical data visualizations. He's credited with inventing bar charts and line graphs and pie charts. And that one in the bottom left there is one of the first ones that appeared in publication, a nice area graph of imports and exports. He's actually a really interesting guy. He was an engineer, he was an economist, and called a scoundrel at one point. He helped James Watt in commercializing the steam engine. He bankrupted himself, got himself put in jail, and when he was living in Paris, he stormed the Bastille. So he sounds like a typical data analyst to me, really. But what we're trying to do here is, our approach is to adopt some principles and some standards about how we go about transforming our data and presenting it to the user. We are improving the data available for our insights. So we are making sure that the data that we're getting from many more sources than we were 6 years ago, lots of internal data, lots of external third-party data we're pulling in as well. We're making sure that's much more available and all in one place. We're automating more of that process to get the data in and out, not so much the manual process to load something into an S3 bucket and hoping it kind of makes its way through to the data warehouse. We're actually automating as much of that as we can. Again, that ensures consistency in quality and security. And we're trying to improve and realize the value of our insights. We're not just delivering information to a person and just leaving it there. We're actually trying to understand what that information is. We're trying to develop the skills of the insights team so they understand how to interpret the numbers, and they can actually advise and act as consultants to some of these people who are looking at the numbers and going, so what do I do with that? But also trying to get those people more skilled so that they can do that themselves and they can use the same tools we're using. They can be Tableau users by more than just looking at the information. They can interact with that information, start building their own insights from the tools that Tableau provides. Our basic principles are we're providing insights, not dashboards. They're not just widgets or commodities. We're trying to actually provide things of value, interpretation, the human in the loop as well. That's what we're trying to do, which is really what we're trying to do with TikTok as a group. We try to use data that is ready to go, so we're not reinventing and rewriting code each time to pull data in. We're using materialized views, we're using extracts that already exist wherever possible, and we're trying to build those so that they can be used multiple times for multiple purposes. But at the same time, we're going to the other end of that. We're not just pulling in all of our data into our systems just because we can. We're only trying to consume what we need, again, for efficiency and optimizing that performance. And like we are with much of our lives, we're trying to reuse, recycle, and refuse. We're trying to reuse stuff we've already built, so we don't have to build it again. We're recycling some of our old queries and our old processes for reuse with our new data. And in some cases, we're going, you know what, this isn't the way you want to operationalize your particular task that you're trying to do. Tableau is not the tool for you in this particular instance. So we're actually pushing back on some of the requests that we get through. But this is very much a evolution. It's not something that we're going to do overnight. Where we've got there's a lot of change management here. There's a lot of users who've got to maybe change the way that they do things. So we're managing the people side just as much as we are with the systems. And in terms of what we're doing specifically from a Tableau perspective, because this project is much more than Tableau, is we're trying to use the tools within Tableau to aid us in that project. So we're focusing our efforts on user licensing to make sure that the users that are coming on board have the right access to the data. We've got a lot of customer and private information that comes through our systems. We don't want to share that with everybody. So we're using data licensing in the groups to make sure that everybody can see the things they need to see to do their work, but you're not seeing the things you don't need to see to do your job. We're doing a lot of work in upskilling users to explorers and creators to take advantage of the tools that we're using in the insights team. They can use themselves. There's a lot of training that goes through that, and we're working quite closely with some of those skilled analysts already to get them up to speed. And as I said, we're managing data privacy and security through the tools that we do have in Tableau through groups and projects and whatever. We're standardizing data ingestion using the tools, Tableau tools, to bring that data in and making sure that we're reusing that wherever possible. And we're channeling as much as we can through the Tableau system. So there's one place for the user to go for that insights. And we're also increasing the way we measure things, not just the way that the business measures things, in terms of we're not just looking at numbers of customers and what they're doing, but we're looking at operational efficiencies, how quick our systems are, how quick our people are, how many touches we might be going through an application each time, but also the measurement of our data. And Tableau is great at doing that. Where are people spending their time? What reports are they looking at? What are they doing with them? And so we're trying to make the most of the tools that we have there. Our approach really is just about broadening our ability to deliver our insights, while simplifying the delivery of them. It's standardizing how we're doing things, enabling more people outside of our team to do it. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions, guys? There's nothing in the chat at the moment, but we've got Mark for another 20 minutes. Any questions? No, I was joking. Yeah, you've got any questions from? If you've got any questions from Mark, please put it in the chat. But thank you for that, Mark. Again, if anyone has got any questions after this session, drop me an email. I can forward it on to both Mark and Grant. So, Mark, thank you ever so much for that, man. Really enjoyed it.
No worries.
Rob,
Thank you.
I just had a question.
Oh,
I had
hello.
a question for Mark. Sue's here. Some good insights there, Mark. I was just wondering, if you had your time over again, is there anything you do differently, or any sort of advice, I guess, you'd give to someone who's at the early stages of this sort of journey?
I think try to anticipate maybe that you are going to need more control. Like when you start off, you might go, here's the data, go for it. I think you're going to need some more control, particularly where you've got some sensitive data in there. That's getting those user groups and getting the data permission set up early on, I think, is really key.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we find that planning for the future, basically anticipating.
Yeah. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
anticipate the needs of everybody, and you know there's always going to be new stuff coming along, but just getting some basic structure in there that hopefully is going to meet those needs. Yeah.
Thank you, Justinas. Anyone else, guys? Anyone else out there? Oh, hello. Right, let me just share my screen then. There we go, and there we go. Right then, so Mark, Grant, thank you so much for the presentation. Next up, we have, at the end of this, we'll do a merch giveaway. I'm going to use the online tombola to pick out a name. So if you stick around to the end, I'll get you, we'll figure out who that's going to be. Just some upcoming events, guys. I'll put this in the chat in a bit. We've got some MuleSoft Salesforce Trailblazer user groups. We've got a Salesforce dev group, and we've got a Sydney World Tour on the 1st of March over in Sydney. So if you're in Sydney next week, myself and Keir will be there on Wednesday. Come and say hello to us. Give us a hug, whatever you want to do. We'll be there on the Wednesday. I've also been told here we've got a Tableau conference in Las Vegas. So if you want to go over there, good on you. I don't think I'll be there for that, but I'd like to be. But you know, it's an in-person event with a few online stuff. There's an Iron Viz, a training and workshops. There's 200 breakout sessions. There's hands-on training, and there's even a Tableau doctor to cure all your Tableau issues. I've also been told there's an early bird registration package for $200 a ticket. But if you get in touch with your Tableau rep, you'll get a 20% discount. So that's in Las Vegas on May the 9th to the 11th. Oh, look at that. My screen's gone funny again. Right, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll say goodbye to you all, but first of all, the merch winner I've picked out of our online tombola, Zara Pabon. I hope I've pronounced your name right. Zara Pabon, you have won our merchandise. So congratulations to you. And let me just say this again. Thank you very much to both Mark and Grant for your presentations. This will be a recording. Will go out later on to anyone who's interested. Please get in touch, and yeah, I can put this recording to you. But guys, that's everything. Zara, I'll be in touch with your merchandise. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.